When I was 19, my mother, Susan Matthews, invited me into the most unexpected chapter of her life. I was home from college on a short break, just 3 days really, but enough time to catch up with friends and maybe even sneak in a few hours of sleep. I didn't expect my mother to sit me down on the first night and say, "Michael, there's something I want you to see. Something I want you to understand." She looked nervous. Her hands were fidgeting with the edge of the tablecloth as though they were looking for something to cling to. Her eyes met mine, and I could see the mix of fear and determination behind them. My first instinct was worry. Was she sick? Was she about to tell me something that would flip my world upside down? "Mom, what is it?" I asked cautiously, lowering my phone and focusing all my attention on her. "I've been holding back a part of myself for so long," she said, voice barely above a whisper. "And I think it's time you knew who I really am. I want you to witness this with your own eyes." I stared at her, confused. "Witness what?" She stood up and motioned for me to follow her. We left the kitchen and walked through the hallway, past the pictures of me as a kid, of her and Dad before the divorce, and into a room I hadn't seen in years. It was the old guest bedroom, once filled with dusty boxes and forgotten items. But now, it was something entirely different. The room had been transformed into a kind of art studio. Paintings leaned against every wall. Abstract pieces, portraits, and surreal imagery filled the space. In the center was a large easel with a half-finished painting of a woman looking into a mirror, her reflection showing a version of herself with wings. My mother stepped toward the canvas and touched the edge of it softly. "I used to be an artist," she said. "Before I met your father. Before life pulled me into something else." I remembered her painting when I was little, but it was something she had stopped doing completely after the divorce. I hadn't even realized how much I missed seeing her create until that moment. "I stopped because I thought I had to," she continued. "Because being a wife, a mother, a full-time worker, it left no room for this. For me." I was speechless. I hadn't expected any of this. And I certainly didn't expect what she said next. "I'm applying for an artist residency in New York. 3 months. It's competitive, and honestly, I might not get it. But I'm trying. I want you to see this side of me, this part one buried." The moment hit me hard. I had never seen her look so vulnerable and strong all at once. My mother, the woman who had worked double shifts, who had driven me to every football game, who had held back tears when my dad left, was finally choosing herself. I walked over and looked at the painting more closely. There was pain in those brush strokes. But there was also freedom. I turned back to her, and for the first time in my life, I realized that she wasn't just my mom. She was a person with dreams, fears, desires. A person who was now fighting to reclaim a piece of herself. "Can you help me photograph these?" she asked. "They need to be submitted digitally." "Yeah," I said, voice a little hoarse. "Of course." We spent the next few hours carefully positioning the paintings, using natural light from the window and my phone camera to capture each one. She told me stories behind every piece, some about her childhood, others about the pain of her divorce, and a few about me. One painting, of a child walking through a dark forest with a lantern, was titled Michael's Light. "That's me?" I asked. She nodded. "You kept me going." That night changed something in me. I began to see her not just as the woman who raised me, but as someone brave enough to rediscover herself. Over the next few days, I helped her edit the photos, write her artist statement, and submit the application. We stayed up late, laughing and talking in ways we hadn't done in years. A few weeks later, I got a call while walking across campus. It was Mom, and she was crying. "I got in," she said. I remember stopping in the middle of the quad, not caring that people were staring. "You did? Mom, that's amazing." "I'm terrified," she said through the tears. "But I'm going." She went to New York that summer. I visited her once in July. Her studio space was small, but it was filled with light. And her paintings had evolved, bolder, brighter, unafraid. Watching her in that space, surrounded by artists of all ages and backgrounds, was like watching a butterfly finally stretch its wings. She came back home 3 months later transformed. Not just as a better artist, but as a happier, fuller version of herself. And I came back from college different too, more appreciative, more aware of the quiet sacrifices people make in the background. Years later, when I graduated and took a job in Chicago, she helped me move into my apartment. Before leaving, she handed me a wrapped canvas. "Don't open it until I'm gone," she said. I waited. After she left, I peeled back the paper. It was a painting of a young man standing at the edge of a mountain, looking out at a sky filled with stars. The title on the back read, "The Witness." I hung it above my bed. Because I had witnessed something extraordinary, not just my mother's art, but her courage, her rebirth, her truth. And that changed everything.